So we're looking at an Imba file, and this is Imba code. When I save this file or click reload on the browser here, it's going to run this code. And in this case, it says console.log, so we see a message gets logged to the console. The important thing to know about Imba code is that it's all compiled to JavaScript, and the JavaScript is what runs. So every line of Imba has an equivalent line of JavaScript. I'm going to type out what this line would be compiled to as JavaScript. It's exactly the same as the Imba line, except there's a semicolon right here at the end. So what's the point of writing Imba code if all it does is save us from writing semicolons? Well, there's a lot that Imba does that JavaScript doesn't. Let me give you another simple example. You can optionally remove the parentheses around function calls. So this would actually result in the exact same compiled JavaScript. I'm going to run this file again just to prove that it works. And that results in the exact same compiled JavaScript, even without the parentheses. Let me show you another cool Imba feature. I'm going to define a variable here called name. Set it equal to my name, Nathan, and I want to interpolate this value name into this string. To do that in JavaScript, you'd have to use a template string and then this $ curly brace syntax, and then you could put name there. In Imba, it's much easier. You can use your regular old string and just 2 curly brackets like that and put name in there, and you'll see that the syntax is a little more friendly, a little more simple, and that's going to be a theme in Imba code, right? Like, how much easier is that? Okay, let's run it to make sure it works. Cool. Now I'm going to comment out these lines. And you've probably seen by now that Imba uses hashtags for comments. Okay, now I'm going to paste in some more examples for us to take a look at. For each of these examples, I've written the compiled JavaScript equivalent of the above line in a comment below it, just for our reference. All right, so the first one, it's a variable called numHabits equals 5. The JavaScript is pretty much exactly the same, but with that semicolon. Not very exciting. Let's look at this next one. Same deal. Habit complete equals false. The JavaScript is nearly identical. In Imba, though, you have the option to use yes and no instead of true and false. So we might use yes. And in Imba, you can name variables with a question mark at the end of the name. So this is great for a Boolean because it reads like habit complete instead of habit complete. Makes your code a little bit more readable. Now, because JavaScript itself doesn't actually support using a question mark in the name, Imba inserts this special character behind the scenes into the JavaScript. Here's an array definition. And a cool thing you can do in Imba is you can break this onto multiple lines, and in doing so, we can remove the commas in between the items. I think that's a lot more clean, makes it easier to reorganize these things. And here's an object definition. Same thing, we can break this onto multiple lines. In doing so, we can remove the commas. But not only can we remove the commas, we can also remove the curly braces. So even more minimal. I love how this looks. And the compiled output is still going to be exactly the same. Okay, now I want you to try writing some Imba code. I'm going to paste in a little prompt here for you to follow, and you're going to be able to pause the video and type your code directly in here to try it out. Just remember to reload the browser or click run or save the file to run your code. What I want you to do is use console.log to print out the name property from this habit details variable, and then use JavaScript's built-in string.toUppercase method to print the result in all capitals. So you can give that a try on this line here, and then I'll show you how to do it. All right, so here's how we do that. Console.log. The parentheses are optional, so I'm going to leave them off. Say habit details.name.toUppercase. I'm going to save the file. You can see the correct result in the console. That's great. Now, the reason I wanted you to use this toUppercase method is just to demonstrate that the whole world of JavaScript methods and techniques are available to you if you're writing Imba code. Imba code is very close to JavaScript. We've seen in these examples that the compiled results are very similar to the Imba code that we're writing. So if you ever think, how do you do some certain task in Imba? The answer is very likely it's however you would have done it in JavaScript. You're just writing it with Imba syntax. But of course, Imba goes beyond JavaScript, and I think in these lessons, your mind is going to be blown continually by the cool things that Imba can do.